Sway in the morning, Shade 4-5. We got to talk about what's happening in Chicago.
I love my family. I failed to protect them.
I'm sorry, Dr. Kersey, nothing yet.
So there's nothing that I can do? Is that what you're saying?
You can have faith.
How'd faith work out for them?
Welcome back to Bandwagon Fans. I'm Jeff.
Jason here.
Tonight we did something a little bit differently. We actually saw two different movies. Jason, what did you see?
I saw Death Wish.
And I saw Death Wish. Here's a scene from the movies we just watched.
I love my family. But when they needed me most.
911, what is your emergency?
There's men, they're breaking into my house. I think they're here. No.
I failed to protect them.
If a man really wants to protect what's his,
I want to buy a gun.
he has to do it for himself.
We're closed, pal.
Who killed my wife? Who else was there?
So you're not gonna kill me?
No. Jack is.
So, Death Wish. Tell us about the movie.
Okay, so a remake from the classic 74 Charlie Bronson about a man who loses his wife and his daughter to an attack.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis stars in the remake here. And he goes, it's a vigilante, revenge movie.
Yeah. So Elizabeth Shue plays his wife.
Yeah, Elizabeth Shue plays his wife.
And it's directed by Eli Roth from
Cabin Fever,
Hostel.
Yeah, so I mean the movie, it starts out a little different from in the original he was an architect. In this movie he plays a surgeon. So it starts out with him doing the surgery and kind of establishing who he is. And then it goes to like kind of the family kind of meet and greet thing. They're all eating together, and when the valet goes in to get the car, that's how he gets the information. In the original, it was the mother and the daughter that went grocery shopping, and they had the bag boy. They asked the bag boy to deliver the groceries to the apartment because they were on foot, and the thugs behind them, scoping them out, got the address out of the grocery bag, and that's how that happened in the original. In this one, it was similar, only he got the information from being a valet and kind of prying in on the conversations. He had an idea of who they were.
Right. Movie I saw was Death Wish, starring Bruce Willis, directed by Eli Roth, and basically, if Black Panther was too black for you, this was the movie for you. Definitely made for the Fox audience, trying to push, like I said, vigilantism, and it kind of veered between. It takes place in Chicago, which
the original one was New York.
So very relevant that it was set in Chicago with
Right.
a slight detour through Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Again, starring Bruce Willis, who, what I'm getting at, Black Panther just came out a couple weeks ago and was clearly leaning into its politics. Death Wish also clearly leaned into its politics. You can't really talk about the movie without addressing the politics, but on the complete opposite spectrum. We'll get a little bit more into that into the spoiler discussion, but we're kind of joking about seeing two different movies, but it really comes down to vastly different experiences watching the same movie.
Yeah, I saw an exploitation film, and not a very good one. It was kind of like, it starts out kind of on a serious note, but by the end it's glorifying it.
Yeah. It was an entertaining movie.
Yeah, the deaths were good.
It was somewhat entertaining. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Definitely the highlight of the movie was actually your reactions.
Yeah, because now the deaths were the highlight. They were really original, very gory. This is a really gory film.
Yeah.
It's not just like shoot 'em up. Like in the Death Wish movies, even though there was a lot of violence, it was basically just Bronson.
It is an Eli.
And that's
Roth
why
movie.
I was about to say that it's the same guy that did the Hostel, the guy whose favorite horror movie is Pieces.
There is aspects of torture porn in this movie. If that bothers you, this is not the movie for you.
There's been a lot of torture and rape and stuff in these movies lately.
March is starting off with a bang. A lot of his wife. So back to the movie.
Okay, no, I mean,
Bruce Willis's wife.
What happens was they were all getting ready to go out to their daughter's big, celebration for her college acceptance, and
his birthday.
That's right, his birthday. But the college acceptance was in there too. They were celebrating kind of both.
Yeah.
So anyway, the valet and a couple of his cronies go on ahead and they're scoping out the house. Turns out Bruce Willis conveniently gets called in to do surgery because another doctor had a high fever. So he leaves. Mother and daughter are there alone. The attackers come in. They're guessing from, just the lifestyle. They have a safe in the house. Lead up to the safe, get the safe open, a lot of tension there. While the mom's up in the safe with the lead thug, the two other thugs are down with the daughter, kind of acting like they want to purr.
Don't give too much away.
Well,
don't
you know
give too
what I
much
mean.
away. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I mean,
you've seen the trailers.
Anyway, they get
bad
this,
things happen.
They
rob.
They rob. They rob.
And Bruce Willis then decides to exact revenge. And it doesn't happen right away. There's a process of. They actually make a point of showing that he's not a violent person.
No, it was similar in the first one.
He's a walk away from violence kind of guy.
Right. You got the therapy. You got him kind of trying to come to terms, isolating himself, though, reverting down into the man cave of the house, not living in any of the other because it reminds him too much of everything. And they did make a point to say that when he walks around the house, it doesn't remind him of his wife and his daughter.
Yeah.
It reminds him of the men he's never seen before.
And then obviously look, there's nothing particularly surprising about this movie. He goes on adventures.
Straight into the thing. First off, he starts attacking random, violence.
Random people, social media gets hold of it. It turns into, there's a debate in the movie about vigilantism.
Right. A couple cops get on the case. As in the original, there was the one cop. In this one, it's a pair of cops. It
tries to set up a social commentary about vigilantism, but all along where this movie is going.
Right. I mean, like I said, he comes from an abusive background. The father was very abusive to him. He reverts back to riding on subway trains, trying to just clear his mind because those were the memories he had as a kid, avoiding his father. In the original, they send Kersey out to Tucson, Arizona to do some architectural work to get his mind off of it. But still kind of the same thing. You have that little space in the movie where he's just trying to come to grips but just can't shake it.
Yeah. And then, no, it's not really going to be a spoiler here. You know where this movie is going. He catches up to the guys.
Yeah, I mean, this movie's from 1974, this remake. It's the same tones. It's the same
We're going to get more into it in the discussion. It's from 1974, but this movie is absolutely rooted in 2017.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. The movie he saw was made in 1974. The movie I saw
Actually, the movie I saw was more Death Wish 3. It was like a canon remake from the 80s. Yeah. It was more like one of those schlock exploitation. After the Death Wish and the Dirty Harry movies came out, you had the glut of exploitation movies like The Executioner and the Bronx Enforcers
American
and all
Ninja.
that kind of stuff. Well, that was the ninja exploitation from the 80s, but vigilante exploitation had a lot of stuff to it in the 70s and 80s.
Overall view...
like I said, ridiculous movie. Don't you dare spend money on it. Netflix this baby when it comes out, though.
So
just for the killings.
Wait to watch it on.
Wait and watch it.
I would agree with that.
Money.
It's not good enough to go see in the theater. That's why we do this, so you don't have to. But it's worth watching. I think there's going to be some discussion about this movie, considering what's going on in the country right now in March of 2018. But it's not something you need to run out and see it. And if you really feel a need to run out and see it, God help us. I'll give it a BB turd.
Oh yeah. Let's see. You know what? I mean, I'll give this thing for effort. I'll give it 2 out of 5. But again, man, Netflix it. Don't go out of your way at all. Even if you're a Bruce Willis fan, there's so much more. Hey, it's not like he even phoned this one in, because he does phone in stuff from time to time. But it's you know what I mean. It's So
that's as much as we can. The non-spoiler discussion. Stick around. We're gonna come right back and get a little bit more into the discussion of this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can stop right here. If you have seen it or you just want to hear more of the discussion, stick around. For those of you tuning out, I'm Jeff.
Jason.
Bandwagon fans, stay on the bandwagon, get on the bandwagon, and we'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to Bandwagon fans. I'm Jeff.
Jason.
And now we're going to get into a little more of a spoiler-filled discussion for Death Wish, the Eli Roth directed, Bruce Willis starring movie. You probably already watched our non-spoiler review where we talked a little bit about seeing two very different movies. So quick, you saw the 1980s Death Wish 3 version of the movie.
I saw just your run-of-the-mill vigilante exploitation schlock from Canon Films, apparently, here.
Yeah, and I saw a 2017 Make America Great Fox News conservative movie. And that's fine. There's a lot of talk about liberal Hollywood. And, I mentioned Black Panther earlier. Black Panther is definitely a movie with a message, leans into its politics. Perfectly acceptable for Death Wish to do that as well, but we do need to talk about what those politics were. You don't really pay attention to the news much.
I'm not concerned with politics, and I don't read too much into films. If it entertains me, I take it for face value.
So I'm going to be talking about that. Jason will talk about some of the exploitation stuff and kind of the roots of what the movie was paying homage to. You meant, where was the original set?
The original one was set in New York, 1974.
Okay. This one was set in Chicago, 2017.
Actually, Chicago, what's funny is Chicago was the place he ended up moving at the end of Death Wish.
Oh, interesting. That's not why they had it set in Chicago. From the very beginning, they immediately start talking. You hear voiceovers talking about all the killings in Chicago, which is, if you listen to any kind of media, it is a big harping point of right-wing politics, is to point out the violence in Chicago. So no accident there. Also no accident that he took a detour after Elizabeth Shue was killed, his wife was killed. He went down to Texas and learned how to be a man by a proud small town western.
You even have the actual radio personalities of Chicago chime in and the cameos, like Man Cow in the morning, and the other one I'm not familiar with.
I think
was
the
that
show
the Breakfast
is the
Club?
Sway. No, it's not the Breakfast Club. I think it was called the Sway.
The Sway.
Not a show I'm familiar with.
Right.
So they set it in Chicago for a reason, because they were hitting on the inherent violence of Chicago, which is a legitimate problem, but it's the narrative. It's a narrative device to frame the debate that this movie was trying to make. The biggest problem I have with this movie, it's not that it was trying to make a message. It's that it was, when you're doing any kind of art, the purpose for doing art is either to entertain people or to educate them, to illuminate the human experience. This movie tries to have it both ways. When it veers into the entertainment, it's kind of an uncomfortable entertainment. When it tries to educate, it's trying to have it both ways in terms of a lot of dog whistles. It was dripping with racism, and it simultaneously tried to hide its racism. I'm not sure if you picked up on any of that.
That's why it all has the sensibilities and the familiarities of an 80s movie. Yeah. That's where I was coming from with all of that. I mean, I register the fact that with the minority violence, and I register all of that what you're commentating on right now, but it kind of just melds into my way of thinking of they're just trying to rehash some kind of period movie here. So they're bringing the violence back to films, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
not very originally.
2018 is shaping up to be an interesting movie between this and Red Sparrow.
Yeah, I wonder how many deaths are going to be in Avengers.
I don't know. There was a reference at one point where Jordan, the daughter, is in the hospital. She's in a coma, and her friend is reading to her, and she's reading a book from Milton Friedman. So if anybody's not familiar, Milton Friedman was an economist from the Chicago School of Economics, who was kind of between him and F.A. Hayek, the intellectual grandfathers of the modern economic conservatives. So this movie is dripping with this conservative politics. And when I talk about the racism, a lot of people are going to scream, "Oh, it was showing a debate between black and white, and it gave them equal time." And yes, in the same way that Fox News is fair and balanced, but it's really not. So it would show the debate between Man Cow and The Sway, which The Sway is a black radio program. But at the end of the movie, that was all just window dressing to get to the real point of Bruce Willis killing people. And people will point out the main criminals in the movie, the ones that attacked his family, were all white. But he also... But it's not that it didn't show... It's not that it only showed black people in a bad light or only white people in a good light, but it was definitely along the lines of white people are the heroes and the black people in the movie are inherently degenerate. Like when he shot the Iceman, it's not to mention how easily
that was
the cop.
funny though, that scene, man.
It was, and that's where, when it's just entertaining, it can just be entertaining. But
that's why I didn't take this movie serious. I didn't read any of what you read into it.
Yeah.
Didn't even want to go into this one doing that. This one I knew was just going to be schlock.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're trying to give movies too much credit, Jeff, or at least going in, you're trying to...
Well, and this, it is no accident that this is what they were trying to do.
I understand.
They dropped the Milton Friedman reference. At the end of the movie, Bruce Willis, the cops just wink, wink. They know he's the vigilante, but they just let him
like
go.
In the original, same thing.
But it just, in 2018, it just takes a different, it doesn't mean the same thing as it did in the 70s.
Because in the 70s, it was totally reading off the people's fears of Son of Sam and the Zodiac Killer. You had just an epidemic of that kind of stuff. The blackouts of New York, just everything was chaos.
There was a moment where it almost looked like they were going to parody the Second Amendment, pro-gun crowd. Because they were showing the commercial of the gun shop, and it was clearly making fun of gun people.
It reminded me of the video in Jackie Brown, where he's watching the video with the chicks with the guns.
And for just a slight moment, there was a critique of how easy it is to get guns.
Oh, and that was really good. Now, I got that. That was really nice.
But they moved that aside as quick as they could.
Oh, no, yeah, they
just
didn't
say,
even want to get
guns
into
are
it.
great, and
it's about a 30-second
and you
thing.
need an AR-15 to defend your family and your home, which is just ridiculous. And that's where the movie almost got offensive to me. I've been in the Army for 20 years. I have no problem with guns. I fire them all the time. I have no problem with weapons. I also know from being deployed that rounds from an AR-15 are going through your house. So that is not, if you actually try to defend your family with an AR-15, you are probably going to kill your neighbor as well. That's the nature of those rounds. They intentionally had him set in a basement, all cement lined, to kind of avoid that problem. But in reality, don't use an AR-15 as home defense.
He could have killed his daughter.
You're more likely to kill your daughter than defending your family with from a horde of angry hooligans.
Oh boy.
We're probably already running too long.
All right, well, hey, you know what? Really quick, you know what? I went into this thing just going all like, give me death.
Yeah.
Give me shoot 'em up. Give me vigilante violence. I'm treating this thing like a product of the 80s, all right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you should treat
The highlight of this movie was watching it with this guy.
The deaths were so great. I mean, there was one death, like you see the one in the trailer with the guy with the car jacked up, but you don't see the outcome like an egg. He just cracks open.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
The head pops open.
Eli Roth, again, it was nice Eli Roth, because this movie was going to be shit anyway. So it was nice at least they gave the movie to a guy that appreciates gore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was the other death too. I love it in the bodega, in the liquor store. How they go in the back there, and the guy's already a fuck up. He's slipping all over blood. The guy that's trying to kill Kersey. But for what I love is he got Kersey right there, and the bowling ball falls on his head.
Yeah.
Priceless. Wah, wah, wah. Dude, after that, If you were taking it seriously to that point, come on now.
Yeah, well, that's the tough thing. 'Cause it wasn't a serious movie, but it was trying to be serious. It was trying to have it both ways, and I think that's why I keep saying we saw two different movies.
I mean, in the original, dude, I mean, the gritty, the grind, the mom and the daughter get raped.
Yeah.
All right, the daughter doesn't go into a coma. The daughter don't get shot. All right, the mom, I believe, got stabbed. Because these are 70s thugs. They got blades. But anyway, the daughter just ended up being a vegetable. She wasn't in a coma in the original one.
I'm going to talk myself into
She was like in her early 20s, too. She was kind of older.
I'm going to talk myself into getting pissed off about this movie now. The very end, the very last scene, had a little bit of that Full House ending of... Everything's just going to be swell.
Oh, yeah, it's just swell and great and everything. And Vincent...
A little witty repartee between Bruce Willis and
what's the brother? Vincent D'Onofrio?
D'Onofrio.
The Law and Order guy.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't in a lot of this movie. Kingpin. That's right.
That's his best role.
Yeah, he wasn't in a lot of this movie, but I love him. So he's in this movie, too. Yeah. The two that play the officers, not as good as the actor that was in the original.
I'm blanking on his name, but the lead detective was also the detective from Breaking Bad.
The other detective, she looks kind of familiar too.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But no, Breaking Bad. That's right. That's right. I've only watched Breaking Bad once through.
Yeah.
But that is right on that. But
there was even a scene where he eats a gluten-free protein bar and spits it out.
Oh, yeah.
Just as a little F you to California and anybody that wants to eat healthy.
Well, also, too, I kind of thought it was funny this movie just saturated in killing and murder and violence. And he's there trying to eat healthy, watching his cholesterol.
Yeah.
Some bullshit.
Yeah. Bullshit is a really good way to describe this movie. The more
you know what? Bruce Willis might as well came out and sang his Seagram's Golden Wine Coolers jingle at the very end.
Do the world a favor. Don't rent it. Don't try to stream it. If you already get Netflix, watch it for free when it's on Netflix. But don't encourage this kind of behavior.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, going back to Jordan the daughter too. The thing that's so messed up in the original series of movies, ladies and gentlemen, given the spoilers, just they're out the door with those. So shame on you if whatever. In Death Wish, the daughter is a vegetable, and she's just comatose. She can't do anything. So come the sequel, okay? Daughter's still a vegetable, all right? Gets attacked again in the sequel. They're just ruthless to this daughter, okay? She ends up jumping out the window and getting impaled on a fence.
Oh, man.
Oh, I know. It's total just cheese. It's just
that's in the original series movies, not...
The original series movies. In this one, daughter's in a coma until, the very end, and then they go home. The movie has the balls to put this daughter through a traumatic situation twice. All right, at least they had the good...
But at least it was entertaining.
It was entertaining, but I mean, at least in the original series of movies, it's like the daughter, if they would have just left it Death Wish and Cannon had exploited it, the daughter you would have known that the daughter came out of it, she's a vegetable, but at least she didn't have to go through anything else. And this daughter goes through two traumas, and in the end, she's just like, wah, wah. Hey, Dad, it's like, I'm going off to college, right?
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. And the movie does end. I like the little thing about the movie ending the way the original one ended. In Chicago, Kirsty's bending down in the airport, helping somebody, and then he looks over at some thugs, annoying somebody, roughhousing, and he goes over at him and he does a little point shoot. This movie ends the same way. A guy steals a bag from one of the college bag claim guys or whatever, and he's walking down the street, he goes, brr. So they do give that little homage there for people that are fans.
And when Bruce yells stop, the guy actually, what kind of a purse thief stops because somebody yells stop? That doesn't happen anywhere.
Reminds me of when I was
worst purse thief ever.
Reminds me of when I was a teenager with my friend Chris, and we're walking back to the Spring Fling from Taco Bell, and the guy just yells bitch, and my friend looks back. I laughed my ass off.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah. There's at some point there's a discussion about so Taken. I loved Taken, and this is basically the same movie.
Yeah, all these movies. Yeah, I'm amazed people can even separate them.
But at this point in time,
Why they chose to strap Death Wish on this, it's just so... They could have made this movie, it's your run-of-the-mill, but why they actually chose to remake Death Wish, I don't know, after so much.
Anyways.
Just so long. They could have named this movie anything starring Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
You know, and a better Bruce Willis is coming out this summer with Dwayne Johnson called Skyscraper.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies coming out that I'm excited for. This was not one of them.
No, it doesn't have any good villains either. At least in the original, Jeff Goldblum was one of the attackers, and you got some Jeff Goldblum goodness for a little bit.
The Grandmaster himself.
No memorable villains in this movie. Just villains for the sake of being there to be killed.
Fodder. This whole movie was fodder.
And it's kind of like, it kind of has some Crowness to it too. The guy, the scene with the liquor store kind of reminded me of the pawn shop scene in The Crow.
I was thinking it was an homage to Pulp Fiction.
Okay, sure.
I was thinking it was an homage to Pulp Fiction.
Why? Because of bald Bruce Willis was in it?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't get raped in it, or he wasn't about to get raped in this one like in Pulp Fiction.
But anyways, I think we gotta kind of wrap this up. We've beat this movie to death. It's not worth watching. Not worth talking about anymore.
Netflix for the deaths.
Stay tuned later in the week. We got a lot of movies coming out this week. A Wrinkle in Time, The Strangers 2, and
that Oprah Book of the Month Club movie.
Yeah.
Huh?
So thanks for watching our discussion of Death Wish. I'm Jeff.
Jason's saying, get yourself a Seagram's golden wine cooler because it's wet and it's dry. My.
Get on the bandwagon.
Happy trails.